Oh no. I couldn't believe it. I was here again. The dream. I had been here before. But what kind of run would it be this time? A blood level 4? An arcane build? It was time to get to work. Why was I not drawing my weapon? I could easily toy with this beast. Why was I only using my gun? It's then I knew what kind of run this would be. The only weapon I could use would be a gun. It was simple then. If I was to take out Daddy and the cleric beast, then I would need to farm for bullets and vials, and a lot of them. As I made my way out of the clinic, I spotted Silver. He didn't make it. Here was my story. I was a noble, a blue hair named Lady Infinite. And this is my story of how I would have to escape the hunt with only a gun. Good old Yharnam. Believe it or not, this was my old stomping grounds. As a matter of fact, old Yharnam was my birthplace. This would be where we would farm for quicksilver bullets and vials. Okay. It's been a while since I've been here. Once we got past what felt like the final boss, we climbed the stairs and heard something from the distance. It sounded a lot like Slick 2 minutes into the bathroom. This was our farming process. We would take out this guy in hopes for a vial, or quicksilver bullets. Then the guys in the house. Here we would get 4 quicksilver bullets. And then the fatties outside would get me 4 vials total. We would repeat this like 50 times until we gathered enough resource to go pay a visit to Daddy. Who would have thought BloodBorne was a farming sim? And once the farming was done, we would reap what we sowed by going to have a chat with Daddy.
Beasts all over the shop. You'll be one of them, sooner or later.
The strat was simple. We would parry the shit out of him.
What's that smell? The sweet blood. Oh, it sings to me. It's enough to make a man sick.
Oh no. For a moment there I felt my power fading. And like that, Daddy was no more. Once Father was cooked, it was off to the cathedral ward to talk to this guy. That kind of reminded me of Slick.
Good, good.
From the cathedral ward, I went and opened the gate to Old Yarnum, my birthplace. I would focus on collecting all the blood shards I could, so that I could level up my pistol. And from there, I would pay a visit to an old friend. I had a pet cat named BSB, or Blood-Starved Beast. I imagined he would be happy to see me. Or so I'd hoped. Betrayed by my own cat. This world showed no mercy. The strat would be the same for this one. Parry the shit out of him till he remembered who I was. And like that, we pet the kitty for the last time. I was unsure what to do next. I decided I would farm bullets and vials, while also making my way to the abandoned workshop. I needed to make sure to get the cord, so I could repel moon presence. And after visiting Hypo Goal, I paid a visit to Vicar Amelia. I have never in my life seen something come out of someone's arse, like I did that day. And here I was. This time the main focus was to just simply get her with the pew-pew. With no heals and only 3 bullets left, I was able to bring her down. My next stop was Hemwick Charnel Lane. I was to deal with a set of twins that hated me. That's a story for another time. They had Dark Chibiterasu locked up in a room. I had to save him before it was too late. However, I had made a fatal error. I had acquired one insight from the fight with Vicar Amelia. Dealing with this shadow thing would be a pain in my ass. I hated playing hide and seek. I had lost to these twins in a past playthrough. So losing in this run was not an option. Not to mention how embarrassing it would be. The strat was simple enough. Run from the shadow thing and shoot the witches in the arse. I was worried for Dark. This was taking too long. I am sure they seduced him. These witches had a way about them, and I'm sure Dark could not resist them. I had to hurry before it was too late. One down and one to go. Now it wasn't just one shadow, but now 2. This soul insight was going to be the death of me. One simple mistake and I failed. The damn shadow things were definitely a pain in my ass. I didn't only fail once. Was I being seduced by these witches too? I would not fail a 3rd time. This had to be the one. I am sure Dark had already been fully seduced by the witches. For him, I knew it was too late. If I died to the witches for a 3rd time, I would be a failure. I almost made a 2nd mistake. For some reason, I had put away my gun. I changed up my strategy. This time I would stick my hand right up their ass and rip them out from the inside. It proved to be very effective. Okay, just a little further now. This could not be happening. Was I to die for a third time? It was over, though I was not proud of my performance. I quickly went to check on Dark, but as I had imagined, it was too late. My next stop was my cat's mate, Dark Beast Parl. I didn't really plan a strategy for him. I would just shoot him with the pistol. I was dealing massive damage with the bone marrow ash. He was almost cooked. I was starting to get hit a lot. I was panicking. It couldn't be. I was one shot from finishing him. Mistakes had been made. That would not happen again. This time the strat was simple. He was a wrench, and I could dodge a wrench. And like that, another boss was defeated. As I walked through the Forbidden Woods, I came across what sounded like something that could possibly be Slick's offspring. I had reached the next boss's door, the Shadows of Yharnam. I needed to show them who the king, or in my case, who the Queen of Yharnam really was. The strat was just as it's been so far. Parry the shit out of them and pew-pew them to death. One down and 2 to go. The damn shadow spitting fireballs was getting annoying. Just one more to go. It couldn't be. Again, I was defeated within just a few shots from victory. I would not let that happen again. This time, it would be I who bullies the shadows, just as I do Shadow Spectre in Master Duel. This time I was using the big tombstone to shield me from the annoying fireballs. One shadow again. And just within a few seconds, the second shadow was down. Shadows of Yharnam, my ass. More like shadows of Minecraft. Here I was. After the shadows, it was time to take on the spider. Rom. But first I paid a visit to Tort, still in his gaming chair after all these years, providing horrible gameplay on his streams. It was time to put an end to him. Goodbye, Tort. There he was, Rom, the vacuous spider, almost as ugly as Slick. I knew this boss would be annoying, having to deal with the baby spiders. I wasn't sure if I would have the bullets for all of them, so decided to ignore them. There was no parrying Rom. We would simply shoot him to oblivion. Things were going well. This was simple enough. Or so I thought. Rom didn't seem difficult, but more tedious than anything else. I would most definitely get him this time. This time I would still focus on Rom, but if I needed to, I would clear some of the babies just to be safe. Shoot and roll. Shoot and dodge and shoot some more. A simple yet effective strategy. Was it just me, or did Rom seem more like a caterpillar than a spider? I am sure he was a caterpillar and not a spider. Rom was running. He was scared of me. I don't blame him. I can't wrap my head around how I lost to him, given he is one of the easiest bosses in the game. Then again, I did lose to the witches 2 times. A little over halfway there. This was a slow boss fight. That was a close call. I could not die. Imagine having to do this all over again, and you having to watch it. A few good hits with the bone marrow ash should finish the job. Another close call. There is no way I was going to mess this up. Rom was getting desperate, spamming everything he could. I was getting sloppy. And that was that. Rom was no more. Someone was crying in the distance, and then I could hear it. Slick was crying. Poor Slick was crying somewhere out in the world. I just realized that I forgot about someone. The cleric beast. I almost missed him. It was time to go pay him a visit. A bit overpowered for him now. It took but moments to destroy him. And within 30 seconds, the cleric beast was no more. After Rom, it was death after death in the unseen village. This was my least favorite place. But finally I got my hands on the upper cathedral key. Before taking on the one reborn, I made my way to Canehurst Castle. I needed to get my hands on the Evelyn. And just like that, the Evelyn was mine. I was going to wait to face the boss, but my impatience got the best of me. The plan was to parry this guy too. I definitely did not want to lose to him, as getting back to him was a distance, and I didn't want to keep traveling back to this guy. I felt as if my bullets were doing little damage, and the plan to parry was not going so well. My confidence was fading quickly. I knew from this point on, the boss fights would become a lot more difficult. And like that, I lost. I couldn't be negative. The only reason I lost that time was because I started to doubt myself. This time, things would be different. I would blast this man to space. But they weren't. He cooked me for a second time. So far, we have slaughtered every boss under 3 attempts. I was not about to break that trend. It was time to lock in. The plan was to parry, but it was proving to be a little more difficult than I thought. The combination of the lack in confidence and fear kept me from parrying at the right time. I'd say YOLO, and the hell with it. But as you can see, I get to live more than once. I was saving the bone marrow ash for a little later. He was not allowing me to get close. He must have known I was a parry god. And with that, I was at the second phase. This would be the one. My confidence level was through the roof. No pun intended. It's because we are fighting on a roof. I hope you got that. Why am I so hilarious? I started to get very sloppy, and he was mad. I found myself panicking again. No time. It was time to lock in. And we cooked him. I didn't doubt myself for a second. And now it was time. Time to take on the one reborn. My God, he was ugly. Slick finally showed his true face. He was disgusting. The smell. That was definitely Slick. There was no way I would lose to him. I never lose to Slake. We had to take out Slick's ladies on the roof first. That would protect him at all cost. Once the ladies were taken out, Slick would be all but GG's too easy. Two more ladies and we would cook Slick. And like that, we were off to slay the beast. I could see him from the rooftop. It turns out Slick was just a man. But something was hanging from its arse. A much larger beast. I had to help him. After all, me and Slick were friends. I would imagine anything that large hanging out of someone's arse would be painful. I needed to put him out of his misery. I had no strategy for this one. Slick has never been a threat. No here, not anywhere. And especially not in Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I felt bad for him, though. Usually after cooking him so hard, I would give him a salty run back. There would be no run back this time. There was no denying he was a tank. I was worried I'd run out of bullets. I got him halfway, with 8 bullets and 8 vials left, a little bit less than half of what I came in with. Something about this fight was bittersweet. If I could give him the run back, I would. But it was time to say goodbye to Sleek. I will admit I worried again when I realized how little bullets I had left. But as I had mentioned before, GG's too easy. Next was a quick stop to Amygdala's chambers. I was slightly concerned as I decided to face him with less vials than I'm used to. But if I remember correctly, Amygdala is a pushover. Our bullets infused with bone marrow ash would absolutely melt him. Who would have thought that this would be easier than the witches and Rom, the caterpillar? Actually, Amygdala looked more like a spider than Rom did. After just a few seconds, Amygdala was no more. Next stop was the upper cathedral ward. We had to face the celestial emissary. I had no doubt I would win. They posed no threat. My confidence was at an all-time high. A fatal mistake. And overconfidence got me killed. That would not happen again. This time I would make sure to dodge while I focused on finding the real one. I realized the real one was probably not one of these. I would take care of them and go to the center of the garden. I found him. Now I just needed to make sure I didn't get hit by the mob. Phase 1 was over, and I was on to Phase 2. A much larger target. This was perfect. Goodbye, Mr. Emissary. Ebrietas would be my next target. It looks like she was mourning her father. She had nothing to fear. She would be joining her father soon enough. My quicksilver bullets combined with bone marrow ash would melt her too. I was absolutely melting her. As the final anomaly would say when he rages on stream. Really? Really? A simple mistake I would correct. It was time for round 2. This time I would take my time and make sure every shot got her head. Just like the first round, I was melting her health bar. But again, I was bested. This was my third attempt. Yet again, I was at risk of making sure I did not go past 3 attempts. Would this be the boss to accomplish that? I needed to stop getting greedy and make sure I took my time. Like past attempts, I was melting her health bar. Only this time, I was making sure to take my time. And like that, I got her on the 3rd attempt. The next stop was Mikolash, the most pointless boss fight so far.
Cos. Or some say Cosm. Do you hear our prayers? No, we shall not abandon the dream. No one can catch us. No one can stop us now.
I chased him down for a long time. The worst part of this fight is all the chasing you have to do. It's almost like the time everyone left DBFC when rollback came through, because they knew the excuses would be over. He eventually got me. I would not let him get me a second time. Imagine having to chase him down for a 3rd time. No, thank you. There was no strat for this one. Just chase him down and shoot the shit out of him. The damage I was dealing was abysmal. This was going to take forever. I got an idea. If I was far enough, I could damage him without him escaping. This was now the new strategy. It may actually work. If I could have used poison knives, he would have been cooked. But this was a gun-only run. He escaped my grasp. No matter. We would just do it again. Now to search for him again. I would be smart this time. I would use the door to keep distance. And then blast him when I got the chance. Rinse and repeat. This was taking way too long. And like that, the longest phase one of my life was over.
Oh, majestic! A hunter is a hunter, even in a dream.
Now to take 1,000,000 years on phase 2.
Not too fast. Nightmares, swirls, chills.
For phase 2, I would use a lot more bone marrow ash, so that I could deal big damage. I needed to lock him into one spot, so I could shoot him from a distance. I almost had him. I lost him for a second. Where was he? Just a few more blows with the bone marrow ash, and he would be mine. I found him. This was it. I needed to finish him here. Finally, it was over. He was no more.
Oh, now I'm waking up. I'll forget everything.
I was reaching the end of this run. I just had to make one more stop before heading to the DLC. There was this ugly-ass lady crying. I wanted to end her, but something would not allow it. I could hear Slick crying again. This was impossible, though. I had already ended Slick. What was this blasphemy? Ah, the wet nurse. Here to protect Slick at all cost. I would obliterate the wet nurse, as she was a little too wet for my taste. At this point, my pistol was at level 10. She stood no chance against the almighty Pew Pew. Pew pew and pew some more. The strat was that simple. The real challenge will be the DLC. Will they be as easy as this wet nurse? Halfway was over. Did she not have a second phase? I fired, and fired waiting for a second phase, but it never came. She actually hit me. I was getting impatient. I couldn't mess up now. I would do her in one shot. She got me again. Just a few more shots. And like that, the grand climax. The wet nurse was no more. I waited for the slaughter notification, but all I got was more of baby Slick crying. Poor baby. Now it was time for the DLC. Here is where the true challenge was. Could I still defeat the bosses under 3 tries? I cleared the area and looked for bloodstone chunks so that I could get the Evelyn to level 10. I knew for the DLC we would need to give out as much damage as possible. It was time to give Ludwig a try. I knew these bosses would be a whole other beast.
Please. Help us. An silent beast. The great terror looms.
I knew I wouldn't get him on the first try. This one would be Data. It was also the first time I'd be using the Evelyn. He completely wrecked my shit. Round 2. I feared I would not beat him under 3. But the goal for this one was to at least get him to phase 2. The damage I was dealing was not bad, but I feared that over time, I would eventually run out of ammo. If I could get him to phase 2, I knew my confidence level would go through the roof. That was close. Things were going very well. I even felt that this one would be the one. I would cook Ludwig. And we made second phase.
You were at my side all along. My true mentor, my guiding moonlight.
What the hell was this? Who in the right mind gives a horseman a sword? I thought my confidence level would go up. But a big-ass horse with a big-ass sword was nothing to laugh at. I was getting close. But I found myself needing to take my own health to replenish my quicksilver bullets. This was taking time away from allowing me to dodge. This would be close. I was panicking and making dumb decisions. Unfortunately, he was the better fighter. He took round 3. And round 4. As well as round 5. This had to be the one. After 5 rounds, I had downloaded him. Ludwig would fall this time. I would dodge him, making sure to save my vials for the second phase. I also needed to make sure I saved as many bullets as possible for his second phase. So I would use my blood to give myself 5 bullets where I could. I didn't quite accomplish what I had planned, but nonetheless, I felt good about this attempt. And here it was, the second phase again. I had to dodge, as my master once told me. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge Ludwig's holy blade. I was panicking again. This could not be. Would he best me again? I needed to lock in. No, I had to lock in. I was so close. There was no way I would mess this up. I was transcending. I felt myself becoming a god. He was no match for me. Ludwig was cooked and he knew it. Just a few more good shots in and it would be over. And with that, he was no more. Directly from Ludwig, I moved on to the living failures. The strat for this was to simply hit without getting hit. There was no way I was going to lose to a bunch of losers. Get it? Because they are failures. Why am I so hilarious? This was another one of those boss fights that felt like filler. I think the story could have actually gone without this one. All I cared for was the ultimate prize that would be waiting for me past this boss and through the next doors. I realized I was almost at the end game. I wondered, as I cooked these losers, where I would wind up next. What world would I have to survive next? Would I be a farmer or a shopkeeper? Would I have to survive the next zombie apocalypse? Or would I have to protect the wall or the dome at all cost? I wish I could just be with Selena Gomez and Netflix and chill. As my mind wandered, I realized I got them down to half-life. At no point in this fight did I panic or worry. I was so close I could smell the perfume on Lady Maria. But better yet, I could smell her perfume on my prize once I defeated her. For a second there, I slipped and got hit. Just a few more shots. And like that, the living failures became the dead failures. Beyond these doors would be my grand prize. Lady Maria was the only thing standing in the way. I stood in fear for a moment, but it was only that, a moment.
Should be left well alone. Oh, I know very well how the secrets beckon so sweetly. Only an honest death will kill you now. Liberate you from your wild curiosity.
The strat for Lady Maria was simple. I would parry the shit out of her, and then I would get deep in her guts. Right off the bat, the fight was going very well. This was a battle of ladies. I was Lady Infinite, and she was Lady Maria. Which lady would wind up on top? I was more than halfway now. Would I get her on the first try? Unfortunate. I was really hoping to one and done her. She took round 2 as well. And round 3. But I would make sure to take round 4. Never mind. Round 5. This was it. I could feel it in my bones. Lady Maria was downloaded, and I was locked in. Nothing would stop me from my grand prize. The strat this time. Just spam the shit out of my gun until a parry landed. You see, I hated Lady Maria. She slept with Silver and had all his babies. Then she left him for Ludwig and took him to Applebee's. Why did she not invite me? The spamming was not working. I needed to be more precise. That's more like it. Things were moving slow, but I needed to be careful to ensure I would win round 4. Almost halfway. The music got more intense. The more intense it got, the more I panic. I needed to stick to the strat. This would be my round. Another missed opportunity. Just a few more parries like that and I would win. I had become a parry god. This was the end of Lady Maria. And like that, I would claim my prize. Good old Lawrence was next. I would cook him harder than I do go to it in Master Duel. Here he was. I would get him on the first try. He was scared. He did not want to wake up. I realized I forgot an item. I got his skull. And now it was time to face the first vicar. The only thing strong about this boss was his breath. The strat would be simple. I would shoot the shit out of him until I broke his head. I would visceral, and then break his body. And visceral again, and continue to shoot until he was no more. The idea of my strategy was simple, not so much when put into practice. Attempt number 2. We only made a mistake. The strat would continue to be the same. Surely he was just a beefed-up cleric beast. He would be just as simple. At this point, I had gotten the Evelyn to level 10. My damage was as good as it was going to get. I felt it in my bones. This was the run. I meant the next run. I meant it. This would be the run. Round 3. I had just realized I didn't even get him to second phase. Could this really be the round I obliterate him? I needed to channel my inner Exodia. I would change up the strat just a bit. Fake it till you make it. Spam my gun and dodge where I could. This would be true strategy. It was working. I was a master pistolero. Grandmaster level 2 in Marvel Rivals Solo. But who's asking? I looked so cool in Lady Maria's outfit. I bet she'd invite me to Applebee's now. Lawrence was no match. He had been downloaded. Halfway. Can I get him to second phase without dying? Things were going extremely well. So well, that if you haven't liked the video to this point, then what are you doing? Go like the video. At this point, I was simply bullying this man. Poor Lawrence. To think I was scared of him. That was close. Just a bit longer. Another close call. Was it just me, or was second phase way easier? So close I could smell it. Get it because of his breath joke earlier? Why am I so hilarious? And with that, the big bad Lawrence was no more. This was it. Arguably the hardest boss. The end game. If I could beat Orphan of Kos, I could beat anyone. I had no strat at first. Simply shoot, parry, and bully the crybaby. Surely it would work. After all, I beat the witches and Rom. I noticed I was doing almost no damage with the Evelyn. I knew this would be a challenge. But confidence was key if I wanted to get him on the first attempt. Every time he did this, I would tell him no more monkeys jumping on the bed and spank his cheeks. I would be a mother figure for him, as he had no mama. I probably would have ended her too if she was a boss. The run was going well. I would only need one attempt. Until I needed more. Round 2. Instead of being full of myself. The goal this time was to simply get him to second phase. I planned a new strategy. It didn't work. And so round 3 it was. And I could taste victory. It was right in front of me. But he bested me. Attempt 4 it was. He was no Lawrence after all. I would have to pull something out my arse to beat this one. And something out my arse I would pull. Just not this round. Or the next. Or the next. The next attempt. Round number 7. He was officially the boss that has taken the longest. Would round 7 be enough, or would we go to round 10? No. The Orphan of Kos had been downloaded. This would be the round that I would claim victory. I would reunite him with his mama. Perfect parry. Another parry. I was becoming a parry god. But this boss would lose no life. Why did he have so much health? No matter. I was Lady Infinite. Wearing Lady Maria's clothes, I was unstoppable. Second phase was so close. This so far has been the best run. I needed to conserve as much ammo as possible for Phase 2. I almost lost it there. No more monkeys jumping on the bed. Phase 2, baby. Honestly, the strat for Phase 2 was to just get lucky. The damn lightning. I almost lost that. But I was Lady Infinite in this world. If anything was greater than my skill, it was my luck. I was getting close, as I had 5 times before this one. I needed to focus. I needed to lock in. I could not afford a single mistake. I needed to conserve both ammo and vials. Oh no, I was throwing. This was usually the moment in the round that I would choke. If only I had some bone marrow ash. Vials were getting very low. So were my bullets. I could not afford to keep getting hit. This was the furthest I had gone. This was it. There was no going back. Could I really beat Kos with just a gun? And like the final anomaly says, Gogde. It was time. This was the end of the run. The night had been nearing its end. Dollwaifu said German wanted to have a chat with me. I had a feeling he was going to try something funny. But I don't do any funny business. It didn't matter. If he tried something, I would simply cook him.
Good hunter, you've done well. The night is near its end. Now, I will show you mercy. You will die, forget the dream, and awake under the morning sun. You will be freed from this terrible hunter's dream.
I didn't need his mercy. If anyone needed mercy, it would be him.
Dear, oh dear. What was it? The hunt? The blood? Or the horrible dream? Oh, it doesn't matter. It always comes down to the hunter's helper to clean up after these sorts of messes. Tonight, Gammon joins the hunt.
He would join the hunt, but for a very short time. I didn't really have a strat for him. I had already beaten bosses like Ludwig, Lawrence, and Kos. What threat would German be? A pathetic hunter that took so many back shots he needed a wheelchair. I, on the other hand, was Lady Infinite, and James, and Silver, and Newt. I had been in so many worlds by this point. 7 Days to Die Dome Keeper, Farming Simulator, Schedule 1, Black Myth Wukong, Darkest Dungeon, and more. I was unstoppable. Halfway already. You would think I was facing off against Slick as easy as German was. Just a few more shots. I couldn't believe that I was so close to the end. So many bosses and only using a gun. And with that, Gurman was cooked. It couldn't be. I could see it from the moon. A monster that looked like it came straight out of a hentai. I was drawn to it. But this was not a hentai. This is BloodBorne. I was unsure of the strat for this hentai monster. I knew I would need to rally, but how? If all I had was a gun? He was aggressive, but I would not let those tentacles get to me. I've seen one too many movies to know where that leads. Things were going pretty well. I had a feeling I would first try him. I've been wrong about these kind of things before. No worry. Round 2 would be the one. I meant round 3. I meant round 4. Here it was. Attempt number 4, before ending the hentai monster. I would show you the final stats for the run. That was it was over. I was done with this world and would leave my old home of Yharnam.
Are you cold? Oh, good hunter.
Is this really what it was all for? To simply become a squid penis?